Yeah, it says it's recording live on Facebook right now on my screen, but
Oh, does it already say that?
yes.
I know it takes a few seconds. I never see it pop up until it's like
Yeah.
programmed. So we're live. We're live and hello and welcome. I know I get a delay in the group. So how is everybody doing today? Let me just pull up my screen and make sure we're all squared away. One moment. All right, now I see us. I always like to see the screen so I know we are here. And Crystal and Linda are joining us live. Hello, ladies. I am Dr. Jenna Zellers, your host for the 21-day Mend Yourself Well Facebook Live Summit. And today we're on day 9. I can't believe we're almost halfway done. I have a wonderful guest today, a newfound friend of mine, Miss Rogue Pence, and she's a relationship coach and expert. And we are going to be chatting about, oh my gosh, I think this is a popular topic because we already have 4 people joining us live. You're going to be joining us and we're going to be chatting about simple shifts that you can make to get your man chasing you again. Miss Rogue, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about, I know I could go on and talk about you, but I want you to just introduce who you are personally. And then we're going to jump into how your personal story is much like how I am now, like through your story is how you've started helping people and on similar paths. So tell us who you are and a little bit of background about you.
Okay, so I do relationship coaching. I've done this now for 3 to 4 years. I've always been an entrepreneur. So I started a nail salon when I was 17. And so my whole life I've always just been very much in the business world and just very much an entrepreneur, I guess. Never had intended on being a relationship coach. Didn't even know there was such thing as a relationship coach until my relationship started having trouble. And I've been married for 17 years. And it was a few years back that I started having trouble in my relationship and was just searching for answers and was tired of being unhappy and unfulfilled in my relationship. And once, as you were just saying, once I was able to turn things around in my relationship, I was like, this is what I want to do with my life, because I just know there's so many women out there that struggle with relationships. And so, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think that that's a common theme throughout a lot of coaches, no matter what industry the coach is in. It's like, you never really intended on being that coach. You went through your own transformation that you learned so much. And it's through what you experienced that you're now able to teach other people. So I love what you're doing. And I loved, you and I got to meet for the first time last week. We had a great lunch and I really feel like I could have just sat there and talked to you for hours and hours about life because I think what you and I were really enjoying about our life, and that's kind of why I've brought this summit together, is we talked about like deep stuff. We talked about things with substance because I know through like meeting a lot of people that sometimes like people are scared to dive into the meat and potatoes. They're just like, hi, how are you? I'm good. Like, what's your name? What's your job? What do you do? Like, oh, like superficial stuff. But I think that what attracted me to you and our conversation was that we actually like right away we started sharing each other's stories. So I would love for you to just kind of share your story if you wouldn't mind. Some of you, if you know Rogue and you're part of in the Rock Wall community, you might already know her story, but go ahead and just tell us a little bit about like the meat and potatoes of your story because it's so powerful.
Yeah, so I had everything I wanted in life. Honestly, the things that everyone aspires to do and be, I had those things. Like I said, the marriage, the kids. I have 4 kids. I had a business. We had money, success, but I still was I just felt like my husband didn't really desire to be with me like I desired to be with him. So I would, work all week long, and then the weekend would come and I would be like hoping that we would get to spend some time together. And he would be busy doing other things around the house, or like he just never would take time to invest in our relationship, go out on dates. If we did those things, it was me that initiated that. So I would have to finally say, like, I'd have to nag or whine or complain to him about, I haven't seen you very much, and let's go do something. So I was the one initiating or planning these things, and that never really feels good to us, because it doesn't show us that he is actually desiring that, and we want to feel desired, to feel like we're wanted. And so I found myself thinking all the time, like, what's wrong with me? Like, why does he not want to be with me? Because I had no idea. There was one time in my relationship, he hates when I say like never, but I felt like you never planned a date. You never did this. And I remember one time where I came home from work and he said, I got a babysitter for the kids. Like, they were gone at my sister's or something. And they're like, we're going to go out. And I was like, what did I do? Like, what made me activate? What activated that in him to do that? Because it felt like it was the only time that it ever happened in our marriage, and I can't even look back and even know what I did, but I know there had to have been something that I did days before or that day that I was in my feminine energy, which is what attracts a man to us. And so all of us women that are in business, just all the women, period, pretty much in this world, we have been taught to be so much in our masculine energy, which is all of the doing energy. It's the thinking, the planning, all of that stuff. And especially women who are entrepreneurs and business women, we're very much in that masculine energy all the time. And it really leaves no place for a man to get close to us. So a man is attracted to the feminine energy. And so if you have the man in his masculine and the woman in her masculine, I like to explain it as like two male deer, like really just like going at it. And so the woman has to learn how to be in that feminine energy when she's with her man. There's a place for masculine energy. We have both in us for a reason. And so that's what helps us to get stuff done. That's what helps us to plan this summit and get on here and teach and all that. But when we're with our man, we have to know how to switch from one to the other. And that's what causes him to activate that desire in him to want to be around us.
Wow. That's so powerful. Like, I'm looking back at my history and just thinking, oh my gosh, like, no wonder, like 3 years ago, I hit rock bottom in my life and started going to counseling. And it was like, I was counseling because I went there initially pointing my finger at my husband, like, it's all his fault. His job's to make me happy, but I wasn't taking responsibility of like what I was doing. And I was very much like masculine energy. Let's make this happen. Let's do this. Let's do that, So what does it look like? What does it look like to be more in your feminine energy? Someone listening who can really identify with what we're talking about, going like their lights are going on, like, oh my gosh, like I'm so forceful, like I'm forcing this and forcing that. Like, what does that look like to be in your feminine energy, and what are some simple shifts that we can start taking today?
Yeah. So one thing that it's not being weak. A lot of women think, oh, so I have to be passive. I have to be under his thumb. He has to be, this leader, and I'm under him. It's definitely not that. In fact, your power is in your feminine energy, and that is what gets you everything that you want in your relationship. So I like to say that it's a way of gaining control without controlling. So all of those things that we do to try to control the situation and get what we want, get him to do this, those are very manipulative and controlling things, and that's going to give us the opposite of what we want. And so being in your feminine energy is very much about being present in your life, which I used to not know at all what that meant. But it means to not be so much in your head and thinking mode, and really just being into your heart and your feelings and keeping your heart open. I like to explain it this way. It's really being in your conscious mind and not your subconscious mind. And so a lot of people know what it's like when you drive to work and you don't know how you got there because you're just on autopilot. That's really being in your subconscious mind. You're just reacting and acting in a way that's been something that's been done over and over again. That's the cycle that we're in our relationships. And so when you can become more conscious and more present in your life, it helps you to gain control over your emotions and your feelings and really start to get what you want in your relationship. And so I guess a good example, the first time that I ever used something different, I guess, in my relationship was I remember the night I came home from work. I always worked late, like 10 o'clock at night, and I came home and he was watching TV in bed like always, and I got something to eat and I'm sitting in the bed and I'm thinking to myself, this is another day that he hasn't called, he hasn't texted. I come home, he hasn't said a word to me, and I was really just feeling like kind of just defeated, and I was feeling lonely because every day goes on and on like that, where you don't get the attention that you want. You're not feeling desired or wanted, like he could care less, I'm like, am I in this relationship just to work and make money? I mean, I don't know, but that's how I felt. And so I remember laying there and really learning to be present is all about focusing on what you're feeling in your body at the time. And so I'm laying there thinking like, okay, I have to do this. Like, what am I actually feeling? And lonely was the only word that I could come up with. Like, I just feel lonely. And so I said that out loud to him. I said, I feel lonely. That's all I said. And there was silence for a little bit. And he was like, well, I'm right here. Like for a guy, he's just like, I'm right here. Like, why are you lonely? Like, just say something to me, And I'm like, I know, but I did try, I did try to talk or whatever. And so anyway, he ends up rolling over and going to sleep. And I don't know how many women out there have been in this situation, but like, it's worse. Like, it felt so much worse. Like, I felt like for the first time I opened up my heart, and I consciously did that. And he just kind of like shot me down, I guess. And so it did feel worse. But the very next day, the very next night, that same thing happened. And the TV was off. He wasn't in the bedroom. Like, he greeted me at the door. He was asking me about my day. And I was like, it was like a miracle, because I remember even the next morning, if you go to bed mad like that, you ladies know that you still wake up kind of pissed. Like, I was like, oh, I'm like, see, like, that's why I don't share my heart, because I was thinking to myself, you don't care. And then I went through the rest of the day kind of pondering on it, and like I said, it was that next night that he responded completely differently to me. And that's when a light bulb went off in my head, and I was like, I did it. Like, I opened my heart, I shared what I was feeling, and he fixed it. That's what men do. When we truly tap into our feminine selves and we share with them, a man will try to fix it. That's what they do. They're fixers. They are the doers in the relationship. And so as long as it's coming from a place of being genuine, and it's not coming from a place of manipulation or control or like strategy, which is all still coming from the masculine, all in the thinking mode in your head, then it works.
Nice. I love it. So is that like a really good secret for anyone listening, is just to maybe open up and not have an immediate expectation, but just like open up and say, hey, this is what I'm feeling, and like, you don't have to do anything about it.
The first thing, there's a lot of different tools that I teach, because there's a lot of different situations that happen in a relationship. There's different rules that I have my clients follow when dealing with men. But the primary thing is learning to be strong enough on the inside that you can open up. but soft enough on the outside that you say it in a way that you're being soft and you're just being vulnerable. And that's a big difference as well, because some of us will just kind of spat out in anger or frustration, you know, what we're feeling. And that's not it either. It's really coming from a genuine place. But that strength on the inside is just trusting yourself that I'm going to say this and, you know, open up, and I can handle whatever happens after that. And with what you said about giving it time, men always need a little bit of time. So I'll just tell you that they are not very quick at responding to stuff. So that was a lesson I had to learn right away, was just that example. I was like, what the heck? But then he did hear me. It just took him 24 hours to respond to it. So for us, I feel like women are very like quick, like we want something like right now. And you have to understand that men don't really operate the same way that we do. They have to take some time to process what we're saying to them.
Yeah. And what would you say to like the woman who I used to be a few years ago, where my happiness was like my husband's response? Like I thought my happiness was my husband's responsibility. I've thankfully learned that that's not the case, and I have to be responsible for happiness. But what would you say for someone who's like in that place, like their husband is not there, or not present, or whatever, and they're not happy because their husband's not making them happy?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's exactly what happened to me when I called it quits in my marriage and ended up leaving my husband. I didn't realize that I was expecting him to make me happy. It's like he had this job. I gave him a job, and no man wants a woman that is a chore or a job. Like he's got enough things in his life that are jobs, you know? And so a woman really has to be a soft place for him to land, a place for him that he wants to go. And so if you're giving him a job to be your, you know, the happiness that you're looking for, then he's not going to want to be around that. But that's one thing that I did. I blamed him for 100 things that were wrong, I mean, in our relationship. And it wasn't until I discovered this masculine, feminine energy thing that I was able to understand that I wasn't creating my own happiness in my life. And you attract who you are. So if I'm not happy and fulfilled myself, then he's not ever going to be able to make me happy. And it's all about loving yourself. I know we've all heard that a million times too, but it is so true. Like you have to be able to take care of yourself and love yourself and be completely fulfilled on the inside in order for you to attract love to you.
So true. So right. Well, we've definitely gotten into the meat and potatoes, and we're getting a lot of love from our viewers. Crystal said that was a great question. She says, as wives, we have to know the source of our joy. When your spouse notices that, that's contagious, which I think is true too. As I've grown in my own authentic joy, I've noticed that my husband's like genuinely happy for me. Because, you know, why not? But if you're a Debbie Downer, I mean, how can you expect your husband to lift you up every single day? So yeah, that used to be me. So I want to dive in, since we've covered so much of the meat and potatoes, and you've already shared some really good tips for us and strategy, not even strategies, because that's masculine, but some ways of just being more vulnerable and more open. I want you to just share with the group, like, if you could have 5 new dream clients, who would they be? Like, what would they be going through? And what are some things that you are uniquely talented and gifted to help them with?
Oh my gosh, I love that question. So one of them will for sure be marriages, just because I've been married for so long, and I know what that rut can be like. And you just feel like you're going through day after day the same thing over and over, and not feeling very passionate or fulfilled in your relationship. So definitely married women would be a big one. Another one that another client that I like to help are women that are dealing with narcissistic men. So during my breakup from my husband, I attracted that into my life. And I dealt with that for quite a while, and it's a very, very painful thing to deal with. A man that's just, I don't know, like toying with your emotions. I know a lot of people call them players or F-boys. That's another one. But someone that is really destroying your spirit on the inside and making you feel like you're not good enough. So I do like to help clients that are dealing with a difficult, toxic man as well. Trying to think, you said 5 different. Oh, go ahead.
I just meant like, I mean, I didn't mean like 5 different
types of clients. Yes.
Like if they were all to come at once, like what would your dream patient or dream client be? But on that note, I want to talk about that, because I think that so many people are with someone who's narcissistic and their spirit is being broken on the inside. Mm-hmm. What is usually the outcome of that? Like, do you find hope and healing and restoration, or do you help women separate from that scenario, or is it a little bit of both? Like, what have you found in your experience?
So the women always want the man. I mean, first of all, they're super charming. They're usually super hot. You know, all the women want them, so they feel super lucky that they're even with this guy, that he's even showing them attention and time and energy and all of that. So the woman definitely always wants that man, that particular man. But I would say, in my experience, I usually end up helping women to break away from a man like that, because the reason you even attracted that into your life was because you weren't strong and confident on the inside yourself, and you saw something in that person that was attractive to you that you actually would like to have as part of yourself. So usually they're, like I said, a very confident person. They have a lot of like friends and whatever, and there's something that you see in them that you are attracted to, and you want that for yourself. And so really it's a part of you that needs to be healed. And so I'm not saying that that person can't change. I always think there's hope for everybody to change. But in my, I guess, experience, usually they don't. I usually end up helping the woman to become a lot stronger and confident. And then when they realize what a good man is supposed to be doing and how they're supposed to be treated, and they start feeling worthy of that love and that treatment, they don't really want to associate with that anymore.
Yeah, it's like that need doesn't need to be met anymore. They're, like you said, they're healed.
Yes.
Grown. And if the man doesn't change, because you're not coaching the man, you're coaching the female. And
yeah.
You're not counseling them on how to make it work. You're coaching the woman who came to you and said, help. That now she's healed and she's stronger. And that might actually be enough to like repel the man. Wouldn't you think? Like, here's this woman weak, and let someone walk all over her. And now she's like, no, I'm sorry, you can't do that. This is who I am. And then he's like, oh, why can't I strong arm you anymore? Why can't I make you feel bad?
So that actually brings up a really good point. So I only need to coach one person. And the reason that is because, as you said, as the person changes, either the other person will start to mirror their behavior and change as well, or they won't. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of women that are even married, they'll say, well, if I don't plan this, then he's not going to. If I don't do this with the kids, then he won't do it. Like, if you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not going to pick up the slack if I don't do it. So if I don't do it, then it's not going to get done. And I had to trust myself enough and learn these things to know that you're never going to know if he's capable of taking on that masculine leading role if you don't lean back, step back, and give him a chance. If he's always used to you being in the masculine and you always running the show and you always doing the things, like, then it's going to take a minute for him to pick up the reins and pick up the masculine role and move forward with it. But he feels so much more confident. He's so much more attractive to you as well as the woman. Like, you're way more attracted to the man when he's got control of things. Mm-hmm. And typically in that situation, the man does turn around. I mean, men really want to make women happy. that makes them feel so fulfilled on the inside to make a woman happy. And so they usually turn around. There's like so much hope for that situation. But with the toxic man, I don't know. Like, again, I only have to coach the woman. And then once she starts doing the things that I tell her to do, she'll see if he's going to respond or not. Like I said, I'm not saying that he won't. It just depends. Every situation is different when it comes to that.
And maybe if he sees the change in her and the transformation, maybe at that point he will realize, oh, I need help too. I see how much help that my woman has like overcome, and I see the transformation. So now it's my turn to transform.
Yeah, and like usually it will inspire them. Like I feel like every man has a little bit of a toxic side to them. So it's hard to like put labels on. I hate using labels, but like in my specific situation, like I feel like he was definitely a narcissist, but that it was a special situation as well. So you just have to look at each individual differently. Like if it was a woman that was just dating a guy and he's a narcissist, let's say he's like a cheater or something like that, I'm not saying he can't turn around and stop doing that. Again, if he really wants to be with her, then he will, you know, he'll definitely turn around. But it's just all depends. It's on a case-to-case basis, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Gosh, I know we could talk forever about this and our own stories, but I want to ask you a couple more questions. When it comes to relationship coaching and what you do and what you've done in your own journey, what does mend your self-well look like to you?
So it's uncovering all of the parts of yourself that you didn't even realize were broken and damaged, and learning to become aware. First of all, just being aware of the fact that I even have these broken parts of myself. That's the first part in mending yourself well, you know, and then making a conscious effort to rewrite the script, you know, rewrite the story. I remember when I first even realized that I'm only doing this in my relationship because of what I saw in my parents' relationship. I'm only doing this cycle because of what someone else showed me was normal. And so since toxic was normal to me, dysfunction was normal to me, I had to continue that cycle. And once I realized that my life was operating off of someone else's life story, I was like, oh no, I will be in control of my life and my feelings and my thoughts, and I will take this journey myself. And so I guess mending yourself well is exactly that, deciding that this is your journey and you are going to heal from the things that are broken and move forward in a much positive way.
I love that. I just saw a quote yesterday, and I don't think it's the first time I've seen this quote, but it really rang true. See if I can say it right. It was like, if you're going to be the author of your own story, don't give someone else the pen.
Yes, exactly.
Why do we give people the power to make choices over our own life when we're the ones that get to make the choices of what it's going to look like?
Yes, exactly. And I think so many of us do that because that's what we saw. You know what I mean? Like if you grow up thinking that this is what love feels like, this is what love looks like, then you have no other example, and you just follow the pattern of what you've seen until you become aware and conscious of it. You're able to then change it.
I love it. Thank you so much for just sharing your stories and your tips and shining some light onto feminine energy and how we can all get a little more tapped into that by just simply letting go of our agendas and our strategies and trying to control and just be there and to be open and honest and vulnerable and all of that with our significant others. So thank you so much. Before I let you go, I'm going to have you help me pick a winner for the giveaway today. So today's giveaway goes to someone, this person will be winning Erin Abbott's bracelet giveaway. So I would love for you, Rogue, to pick a name or a number between 2 and 87, but do not pick the number 57.
Oh my gosh. Wow, that was crazy because I actually had that number in my head. So weird. Okay, so not 57. I will pick 19.
19. Let's see who our lucky winner is. The winner is a friend of Crystal's. So Morgan Ann Justice Castro. It's a long name, but Morgan Ann Castro. She's the winner of Erin Abbott's bracelets. So I will connect the two of you. So congratulations, Morgan Ann. And Rogue, you have not only a giveaway, but you also have something that everybody can access. So tell us a little bit about your free giveaway for everybody.
Okay, yeah. So if you go to my website, it's roguerelationship.com. And on the home screen, you can download my free ebook. It's 6 steps to having him tear the world apart to be close to you. And it's just a little ebook. I also have a program on there as well where I have audios of the exact steps that I took in my relationship to turn everything around. So
awesome. Great. And then your giveaway is that program, correct?
yeah. So I have a membership site. I just launched it a couple weeks ago, actually. And it's $39 a month, but I'm going to give away a month free to someone. And the program is actually on there. So yeah, you'll have access to that as well.
Awesome. So we will announce the winner on tomorrow's interview, and I'll make sure that we connect you too. So would that program be good for a male or a female, or just females?
Just females for that one. Yep.
Cool. So if a guy, we have only a handful of guys in our group, but if a guy wins, he can gift it to his wife, right?
Yes, exactly.
There you go. And then they would both win.
That's right. They definitely would.
Awesome. Is there anything else you want to add before we call this a day?
I don't think so.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We'll put all your links for people to be able to reach out to you, find your website, download your free ebook. We'll put all of that in the links below. So everyone for tuning in, thank you so much for watching. Oh, Morgan Ann is just now tuning in. Crazy. So Morgan Ann, you won. She's like, what happened? I'm so sorry. I'm just tuning in. Morgan Ann, you are the winner of a bracelet set from yesterday's giveaway, or today's the day we draw, but for yesterday's talk, Erin was giving away some bracelets. So you are the winner of those free gifts. So congratulations. I'll make sure you and Erin get connected. Congratulations. And Rogue, thank you so much for your time. I know we had a lot of people joining us, and I'm sure that you inspired and hopefully educated some of us on what simple shifts we can make to have a big turnaround. If somebody practices any of these tips in the next day or two, please share it in our group. We'd love to hear your testimony of how these tips helped you. Thanks, everybody, and have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.